This is day 1020, 1020 of the HaShulchan. If you'd like to sponsor Arukh shiur more of the HaShulchan, this on contact me directly. It'd be very greatly appreciated. We're still in your Deus and Pei Gimel today, and we're doing Lamed Zayin to Mem Dalet. Lamed Zayin. That which he allowed. If you find a kosher fish in the barrel, the dark barrels of shame, but the tummy gankin, as long as you don't find also tray fish. Such as a fish or a part of a fish which has no scales. But if you also find a tray fish inside, I feel you also find many kosher fish. You come usher hatzir, nevertheless the brine is usher. It goes out saying it's a definitely tray fish. So even you have find little pieces, not little pieces. Suffix where you're in doubt if they are kosher or not kosher. Really, we should allow the brine because of his fake sveka. Maybe these pieces are also kosher. If you're going to say the Tamei Shem alone Shu, maybe they weren't soaked together for 24 hours biyachad. That's here who me'atorim, and therefore whatever brine there is from the Torah fish. And furthermore, the suffix kavashu gankein midrabanan, that a suffix where something is soaked or not is a suffix drabanan leish chokim shebesif chafei, according to some opinions above. Nevertheless, loiti here they didn't allow the brine. Mishum gufa dogim, lest you find the non-kosher actual fish. The natir here, well, lest you're matir non-kosher actual fish. The natir here because if we allow the brine, yochlu gama dogim subakim, then people come to eat also fish which are of doubtful status. There's also a suffix of the Torah. That's a Torah prohibition, or a suffix of a Torah prohibition. So therefore, the pieces which are recognizable, that they're tar, mutar, and they're permitted. We're not concerned that they were soaked in the brine. As we know, the whole issue of brine is a chumrah. It's like the case in Sifyu Yuzayin where you have pieces of fish which don't add up to, they can't be fitted back together again. You see that in there. Practice there also where you have pieces which don't add up. They have to say that the brine is also like it is here. Because according to this, what the Vush wrote here, below Damia, it's not Gambul, Ena Matimos. It's not similar to the case where they don't match up. And where we lean in the brine which is absorbed. It's astonishing. They have the same halacha. To somebody who looks at it carefully, Viduk. Amaches, it's a Gemara. It says Gemara the Kirbei Dogim, the Beitei Dogim, the innards of the fish, and the eggs of the fish is the Washlausha Beitzim, and that is the collection of eggs, some kubatzim, which are gathered together. I believe it's called roe in English. Shem Ubore Dogim, which are fish fetuses. Sheni Krain Reagan or Ikra. Yeshavish and Taim Latorim. You can tell the difference between the collection of kosher roe and treif roe. Shatarim koshla v'shlau my Torah fish. Every collection rosh echad kad. One side is rounded, rosh echad kad, and the other side is pointed. It makes us tiny golas, just like the sign of a kosher egg, which is one side rounded and one side pointed, of a kosher egg of a hen. But meim shem Hashem kadim, and the tamei fish, their collection of eggs, both sides are either rounded, or chadim, or pointed. Kibetza sov tamei, just like the egg of a non-kosher bird. Also in the intestines of the fish. Hey, Simon say you have such a simon. Below etzem hakibayim. Not the intestines themselves. The bam lo shayach, it's not relevant to them. Elba shal puchis shel dag This is rather in the Shalpuchis. How do we translate Shalpuchis? Sure, this translation is going to help us much. It is called a swim bladder. It's a gas-filled organ that contributes to the ability of a fish to control its buoyancy. Okay, so that is this bladder can be used as a simon. He says that it's inside the innards of the fish. It's called full of gas. The nikres blows. The tarim and the tar fish it has one side is round, the other side is pointed. V'tmeim and a non-kosher fish named kadim, both sides rounded. O kadim are both sides pointed. In that case, we get the innards of a fish. Ubre dogim, or fish fetuses. Shem beite dogim, which are the eggs of the fish. The simonim elu, with these simonim, mutar lochon, you'll have to eat them. If the innards have been disintegrated, vabitzim, and the eggs as well, you can't recognize through the simon. Also, you're not allowed to buy them except from an expert, in other words, a Jew who is conversant with these parameters, who maybe understands the innards of the fish, and their eggs, even when they have disintegrated or dissolved. Lakir mezamin dogim haim, to recognize in what kind of fish they came. If there's no such expert available, there's no leniency. Unless a Jew comes along and says, I salted this fish, and I saw that they were kosher fish. And Hamad says, from them I remove the innards. These innards, and these eggs. Koshkin Shemar Lon Dogim. Show us the actual fish. For me, Dogim Elu Tzitzim, it says in this type of fish, I remove them, the kosher, that's good. Lamed says, Koma Shabianu Zeu Olam Mitok Tibi Agmar Shon Perish Rashi Tais Ayin Shon. This is all according to Rashi Tais. Avagad the Chul Maskin, the Simoni baits us off at Simon, even though in Chul it says that the Simonim in an egg of a bird themselves, Lav Doraisa, they're not the Torah, not valid for Torah level identification. Because there are among the Tamei birds, ones which have eggs, which are like the Torah eggs. Nevertheless, Tosfos says that in fish, this is a siman d'oraisa. Please, in Nishar Din, so the halacha would be in accordance with what he just wrote. Then he says that from Yerushalmi it seems that they are not a definitive simon. The Fiza Filu exchange Shlemim, in that case, even if they are whole, they didn't disintegrate, dissolve, can't rely on these simonim. So Dafka Mumche, you need an expert. You're not an expert. Jew has to come and say, I salted the fish. I saw that they're kosher. Which like he wrote, you can't ask him, why don't they bother giving us these simonim? Kulam, I think it's probably supposed to be klum, since they don't work, they're not effective anyway. The Yishlom, I could say, the Muslims simonim elu, they ain't so mumche, they effective, they won't need an expert, or the person is saying, I salted them, but rather it's enough that the seller of a certain, of this, it's enough that the seller says, Shaldak Plonian. They come from a certain fish. They came in the Simonim Nikari, but since the Simonim, even these inferior Simonim, are you can see, and most fish are Tor. Sorry, most kosher fish do have these Simonim. So therefore we can combine Shaldak Plonian when the seller says that they came with a certain fish. Even though he's not an expert, he doesn't say I salted them. Nema is permitted together with the simon. You can eat them. But if they're dissolved, it doesn't work, and you can't rely on the seller. So dafka mucha, you need specifically an expert, or or a person say I salted them. The chaygavna, in such circumstances, when you have this eid echad who is mumche, so gam beitzim shalofas, I think, and we can rely on him also for bird eggs, which happens to pay above. This in brackets says, "If it's come on a sham the taste the sham." This is important. This is the intent. The taste level chenu chachravel the tarates. Sheni mochul therefore Rav had and say it's about where they were dissolved. Shin the otzar mugadafka. Then you need an expert. The baloni mochul if they're not dissolved. Daibar moshe dakploniu. It's enough to say it came from such a fish. I and sham, but the maram lublin shekibin gankin the zevaduk. Maram lublin evidently wrote something similar. Memau v'tivya Rambam but two shulchan misuchsachim od. B'dinim elu. Whereas the Rambam and Shulchan are very complex, perhaps even confusing. It means in these halachos. Now Rambam zal kosav so pergim was shona. I wrote beitze duanim simonim simonim beitze of the simonim of the eggs of fish. The simonim of the eggs of a bird. Both sides are rounded or chadim or pointed. It's a male. No, it's not kosher. One is round and one is pointy. Surely, asked the Jews selling the fish. Im Amarlo, it says, Ani Malachtim, I sold them, but Tsimi Adag Tor, and moved them from a kosher fish. Ochel Apip, you can eat, but based on his say so. Bim Amarlo Tarim Haim, if he said they're kosher, without saying he took them out of the fish, Einonem is not believed. Uncanny Adam Shulchok Bekashrus. This is a person who is assumed to be a kosher person. Membes, Vinay Dvarav Tumuim. His words are astonishing. First of all, he didn't mention the innards at all. He just mentioned the eggs. Also, why is it not effective when he says that they're from a certain type of they're from that certain fish? Just like the eggs of birds came in the EU myre with shloni bochos. It's a type where they haven't dissolved or disintegrated. Shay Lois Kiyozek doesn't mention that at all. Furthermore, the day Loma Amru Chazal Simoni came in the Animal Cloud. Why Chazal say these Simoni if they're not effective at all? Vodo Bagmor Mechalekas Bank Shem Shleim and Bank Shem Mochel. The more itself decisions whether distinguishes whether they're whole or dissolved. Biu Loma Maflik Media doesn't make any distinction. For Tomu, they were already been astonished at this. Of Kol Chachmei Adaras, all the sages of the generations. Furthermore, Lama Bebeitze Dogim Bin Shulsa Bekashus Uveitze Ovos Ain't Circles. Why would we only need Muksa Bekashus by fish eggs? Why we need, it sounds like we don't need Muksa Bekashus for regular eggs. Who about so Pasam Mikon Beitze Ov, and he himself asking by bird eggs. If the hunter says they came with a certain bird, but who tar, which is a kosher bird, so mecholav ayin sham. You lied to him. Doesn't say anything about kashrus. Kashrus. Kashrus amagi mishnah mishum deshad dogim hamaluchim. So therefore, the Mag Mishnah wants to say that the distinction. The salted fish boim mimerchakim come from a great distance. Umatzi shtemute. Tveim, and you can play games more mibetzim than bird eggs, which have to come from someplace close. That's why you specifically have to say, I salted them. Makes sense, says Arukh. In the brackets, he says, about what the Maggid Mishnah wrote. He didn't imagine why he mentioned fish innards, mishum daliba, the Rabbi Zera Sham, lomisnai bushum simon. According to Rabbi Zera, no simon word is affected by them. That's not clear at all. That is lo yodeh b'muchoshius. Is there not conceded something which is an issue of Metzias? Kvarik shov ayin ayin sham va'ayin ayin sham lech mishnah shikshar baby zayin nishar b'tzarchin lech mishnah is left leaves everything with a tzarchin. Mem gimel near lani is like the Rambam is a sal sober that came in the Beit Ofni Kram Choladam. Rambam said since bird eggs, which are recognizable to any person, ben yudoni kamus, and there are many of them. Amar Chazal said she'ein l'smoch hasimanim. We should not rely on the simanim. Kavachon the Beit Dogim, certainly by fish eggs. Shech Shakara b'shlau shem kosher mod to recognize and assess their collection of eggs is very difficult. lakiram to see what their shape is. Kasharisi beinai. HaShulchan says, I testify, I myself saw that it's hard to define their shapes. She'ain l'smol siman klal. She's not allowed siman at all. The mashal mechazal simanim b'lefech. Chazal said siman is the opposite. The im shnei roshehem kadim or chadim. If the two heads are rounded or sharp or pointed, ain't will doesn't work. Afshio manim lachtim. Simanim are not caused to be mako, but simanim which seem to indicate tumor are caused to be machmir. And even if he says I salted them, even his musa b'kashus, the shakranu is a liar. And the opposite, when you do have the simanim them, in other words, one side is chad, one side is kad. We don't like this. For two reasons. The achas, simanim love the raisa, the simanim are not, don't work for Torah issues. The second reason, rakusam, because they're soft, you can very easily make a mistake. Plenty of therefore even it says it's from the so fish. The Torah and it's kosher, who ain't Torah, it's kosher, ain't no oil. It's not affected by shiurim malachtim, but he says, I salted them myself. Or shu muchzeh b'kashus, or that he's held to be kosher. He is held to be kosher. Low down in the Beitz over Mtsuyim Arbei, it's not like chicken eggs, which are very prevalent. Everywhere you can recognize them. Then kashim, and their shape is solid. You go to kamus, and there are many of them. We may look shomer ani lachtim, but it comes out then if he says I salted them, ein chiluk ben yimochel shleimim. The difference if they're dissolved or intact. Him showing something legamri, because they're lying him completely. Chen lo eskir chiluk zeh cloud. That's why he doesn't mention the distinction at all. Gemara lo eskira. Gemara also doesn't mention the amro shel dad ploniu that if he says it's from certain fish, she'en nema. Doesn't work. The difference between dissolved and not dissolved, disintegrated and not disintegrated. It's for a chumrah. The beloni mochu, the roim bashnei Russian kanil chadin, that if they haven't dissolved, and you can see that both sides are pointy or both sides are rounded, treifa, legamre, it's not kosher altogether. Shum davar, nothing's going to work to make it a permissible. So it's because of Rambam dvarav, as what the Rambam means. Bracket says that the shach's exclamation Rambam sorach yum. Mendav, especially is kirkirei dog. Why did he mention fish innards? Nearly, it seems to me the kemishum mechazal the kirbayim atzmam ain't shum heker. There is no simon in the innards. Rak b'shalchu shalpuchim on their swim bladder. Lushamim lusha amorachad ta'ab b'shalfuchis. Lushami says that a certain Amora was made a mistake when he tried to assess the bladder. Torah, was telling he said Torah, vice versa. So it's certainly true. Can't rely on any other person in the world about this. I feel like even on the greatest expert. And furthermore, we see again. I guess went to inspect the kirbei dogim aboyim merchakim. The innards of fishes come from a distance. Shekorin fish troyan, Russian Rusia rivna zir, ba'im chavios lalfim. They come in jars and thousands. They don't have the bladder. Can shum siman, shum mumche. Evidently, many of them don't have bladders. You can't rely on that on any siman, any mumche. Shum mumche b'tzadik, any righteous person. After the who the shavim in Beitz Dogim. So even though in theory they're equivalent to the fish roe, nevertheless the Ram couldn't write this din is practical. But it's true. If somebody comes who we assume to be a kosher person, and brings fish in, or it says I need to see me that kosher, and I took them out of a kosher fish, the body neman. So we believe. I'm saying it's that's like any echad echonim. It doesn't have to be specified here. It's true about all food. But furthermore, the zenichlal is included bichlal mashkul kusabacharka, and that which showed after is the ein luchim chatichas dag elin came mimishu muchsak bekashrus. You only take a piece of fish from somebody who is known to be kosher. Ein sham. That's true also about fish innards. Came the gamhem and simon etzleinu, since by us. And I guess he assumed by the Rambam too, there are no shapuchis around, no bladders around. So therefore, there's no way to be mako based on assessment of the shapuchis. Okay, I think that's it for today. Yes.